Everybody, good morning to one and all, and today I am Kranth and I am going to teach you about English and communications. So before we go ahead with English, we have something called as communications, and in communications we have been learning about how to give a presentation from the last previous days. Like, in the first day we have learned what is the overview of giving a presentation, what are the main important steps that you have to follow to give a presentation, and yesterday we have been learning about what is that you have to follow while you are doing the presentation. So today we are going to learn few tips about the effective presentation techniques, and let us go deep into how to give a presentation, while and after the presentation skills. So this is what you just have to remember, and I will be telling you about how to communicate properly through the presentation skills. So when I say about presentation skills, the most important thing that you have to remember is effective presentation techniques. Let us see the slide. Yes, till yesterday we were been learning till the part 3 of effective presentation techniques. Today we are going to go through the part 4, that is effective presentation techniques, in which we have presentation style. When I say about presentation style, what am I actually telling you is, in presentation style, the way you give the presentation is also most important that you have to remember, right? So in presentation style, we have few elements. Yes, that is vocal techniques, loudness, pitch, rate, pause. So what is loudness? As I was been telling to you about yesterday, loudness is nothing but how loud you are and how convenient your voice is to hear. And pitch is something that I am talking about, the length of your voice which can be heard. And rate is how many fluctuations you have, and pause is give pauses at one particular time or few particular times, where when you want to end the sentence or when you are ending a sentence or when you are talking, give a point, take a break and then go for the next sentence. I think we also have covered this yesterday, that is body language, that is eye contact, gestures and posture, which are most important thing when I speak about presentation style. And then we have use of space, just make sure can everybody see you or not, and then movement, which is very much important. And then we have the common problems. What are the common problems? When I speak about common problems of effective presentation skills, to make effective presentation skill, the common problems that you find is verbal fillers, like, any unrelated word or phrase, swaying, rocking and pacing, hands in pockets, lip smacking. So these are few most important things that you have to remember. So people, when I speak about common problems, the first thing that we had is verbal fillers. And what are verbal fillers? The verbal fillers, when I speak about verbal fillers, usually, for example, we have something like You know, when you're talking with somebody, usually, you know, if you're talking to somebody, sometimes you will find, you know, see, that's what I have said now. Sometimes you know, is a verbal filler, and is a verbal filler. Like is a verbal filler. So when I speak about and like, verbal fillers are something that you have to remember, especially when you are talking. For example, you know, when you have gone for an interview, especially if you have gone for an interview, there will be few examples. You know, once while you go for an interview, there will be a situation where a person will be asking you, can you just introduce yourself? So you will be using a lot, you know, like my name is, I want to just tell about, see, is something that we use when we don't have anything to talk, or when we have something to talk but to lag behind it, we'll be using this verbal fillers. And then is something so many people use, even I use at some particular points, because this is a verbal filler. So is something which so many people will use while they're giving the presentation, but make sure while you are giving a presentation, please don't use a. You know, sometimes it's okay using a, but don't continuously use a when you're talking to somebody or when you're giving a presentation, because this overusage of a verbal filler will make sure the audience are really not understanding. So that is what you have to remember. And then we have like. What is like? You know, like is something where people use it. You know, tell me about where are you from? The people say, I am from one of the places from AP, like, and then they'll say, you know, like, they use like a lot. This is a verbal filler again. So never use these three, that and like. Any unrelated word or phrase, I mean, you know, sometimes you use unrelated words like, you know, means you use, or there are so many things, okay, better don't use all those unrelated phrases in your presentation skills. And then we have hands in pocket. You know, hands in pocket, nothing but some people have a habit of putting hands in the pocket and then they'll talk while giving the presentation. That is a very, very, very bad habit. Usually you put the hands, especially males, they put hands in the pockets and then talk. It's a very, very, very bad habit. Never ever do that. It represents that you are very bad in your character. That means a wrong attitude. Attitude is not wrong, wrong attitude is wrong, all right. So now let me tell you about lip smacking. Lip smacking is nothing but few people have a habit of, you know, doing that, or, you know, doing this. So they have so many problems, you know, you put up your lips inside, or, you know, you try to play with your lips. That is also a very bad habit that you should not do when you're giving a presentation. And then we have fidgeting. What is fidgeting? Multitasking. You know, when you're doing something or when you're talking, if you can see, fidgeting is something where you do multitasking things at the same particular point. So fidgeting is something that, you know, you do alternatively. For example, guys crack their fingers, you know, girls twirl their hairs, you know, they keep doing this. That is called fidgeting. Never do that, because when you're giving a presentation, your concentration should be only on giving the presentation, but not on the other task, right? So let us see the last point here. We have failure to be audience centered. What does this mean? When I say failure to be audience centered, the only thing I just want to put up here is, when you are actually doing, or when you are talking with the audience, the most important problem that you find is, when you are talking with the audience should be centered while you're talking, because when you are talking and the audience are not looking at, there will be a huge problem, because you have to be in a position where you have to center each and every person while you are actually giving the presentation. Because You are giving a presentation and people will be looking at you, and if there is a chance where people are not being centered by you, if you are not giving a concentration to few of the audience who are sitting in your presentation room, the people would obviously feel bad that this person is not giving concentration to me, so obviously I can do anything. So there is a misuse of the time and the calculations over there. And now I'll tell you the amazing presentation tips. So let us see the slide. We have presentation tips. The first one is smile. Always have a smile when you are giving a presentation. And breathe properly and have a good breath while you are talking, because every sentence or whenever you talk, take a good breath and then start the conversation so that you can find the good voice coming out of yourself when you breathe. And then we have some water every time. Put up notes on what exactly you want to present. Finish on or under time. So when I speak about the amazing presentation tips, when I say about the presentation tips, you have to remember that while you are giving the presentation, first thing that is the most important that I was telling is smile. When I say smile, smile is something which you have to concentrate when you are giving presentation. Because when you are giving a presentation, smile will make you show how exactly you are giving the presentation, because smile always makes a good appearance of yours when you are giving a presentation. For example, you have entered into a room or you are in a situation where so many people are there looking for you to give a presentation. So once you go into the presentation room, have a deep smile, a flood smile when you look at everybody, so that the people feels so happy to see you there. That's when you give a positive feel for everybody that the presentation is going to be real good. So the second thing is breathe. People always make sure that you breathe properly when you are giving the presentation or when you are talking, because I'll tell you what, when you don't breathe properly, when you breathe to extent point or when you breathe to a certain points when you are giving an interview, the problem what you will find is one particular point or one certain point you won't be able to communicate if you don't have a proper breath. That is what I just want to tell you. So always remember, whenever you are talking, take a good breath and then talk. That will make the presentation amazing. Alright. So the third one is have some water before you go for the presentation, or keep having water so that it keeps your hydration levels a little high. Because when you don't have water, you feel thirst immediately, because you will be talking continuously, you will be giving presentation, and sometimes you feel thirst and you won't be able to give the presentation enthusiastically, because you will be getting exhausted, because as much as we use our energy, burn our calories, at one particular point we will be exhausted and tired, but water makes your enthusiasm levels and your body language high, because the water keeps you real hydrated. So always keep that thing in your brain to have some water every time you get some time. And then we have notes in the point of 5 presentation tips. When I speak about that, always put some notes, because I'll tell you, we might not remember even after practicing for so many times, even after having that notes with us for a long time, or even after preparing so much. Putting a notes in front of you or putting some information with you will make sure you always perform that pretty good, because people, I'll tell you something, when you have the notes or when you have something written in front of you or something what to talk in the presentation in front of you, what makes is it will make sure you are ready, or it will not confuse you, or it will not manipulate you on what you are telling. because sometimes there will be situations where we skip one topic and go to another topic, where the audience might feel little uncomfortable in listening to us, because the relation or the chain that you are following will break because of one simple confusion, which happened with me so many times. So on a personal note and on a personal experience, I am telling you, never ever go directly by putting everything on head. Always have a PPT or always have a notes in front of you, so that you can go to the points and then you can say it in the presentations. The last one we have is finish on or under time. So what does this mean? Finish or finish on or under time means finish on time. For example, the presentation is from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Make sure you finish it by 10:50 or 10:55 or exactly 11 o'clock. Close exactly at 11 o'clock. Close the presentation. Directly don't close it, just give a conclusion and then close it. But I'll tell you what, guys, when you overlag and when you increase the time for the presentation, people get tired by listening to you, or because everybody will have a time statistics that they put it to go for the break or go for a talk or go for a short breaks or anything. So when you say that it's going to be till this time, make sure you finish that at that particular time. But if you don't finish it, people will feel very uncomfortable and they would not like to sit in there for longer time. So always make sure you finish that in a right time or before time, but not after time. All right. So now let us see the next slide, that is part 5. And what is the part 5? Creating effective visual aids. When I say creating effective visual aids, I literally mean how exactly you are going to create the pictures or the visuals or the images or anything that you want to put in your PPT. What is that you are going to do? So today I am going to show you what exactly the visual aids are and how exactly we put and how exactly we go. So let us see the slide here. We have visual aids, that we have enhance understanding is the first thing that you have to remember, because in an enhanced understanding we will be going in deep and detailed understanding. See, this visual aids is something, but it will give the audience the entire detailed idea about what is that. Don't put all similar things, try to add varieties, put some ample of different varieties when you are showing visual aids. Support claims, put relevant supported visual aid in the PPT. It lasts impact, because I will tell you what, people, more than the movie we remember the posters, if I am not wrong. Because of the posters you go for a movie, it is also the same. How do we advertise? By putting up the posters, by putting up the visual aids, and that is why people will get to know the information about what exactly is that. So this visual aid will help you in putting the last impact, or it will impact the audience every time they remember your PPT or presentation. So always remember that whenever you are giving a presentation, make sure you have an amazing detailed visual aids and different kinds of visuals and support which is supporting the topic, and then make sure the image is in such a way or the visual is in such a way that it impacts the audience for a last time or for a longer time. So that is what I want you to remember. If in case you are not using visual aids, what happens? I will show you. If you can see the slide here. If used poorly, a distraction, ineffective presentation. Obviously, when I say if it is used poorly, the only thing that I just want to tell you here is, if the visual aid is really not being used properly, there would be a chance of people saying your visual is really not good. So when I say this, always remember that the visuals, whatever you are showing in the, if you are not showing the visuals in your presentation, the basic problem that you will find is people will not find this presentation that effective. So they will obviously say it is a distraction, man, the presentation was not good or something like that. And then ineffective presentation, the presentation won't be effective obviously, because till now we are speaking about effective presentation, but if you don't use visual aids, obviously people would feel, oh my god, this presentation is really not effective. I mean, it won't give that impact of the presentation which is happening at the right situation. So always make sure that you use a proper visual aids. And now let me give you some example of visual aids. So let us see the slide once again. Here are few examples. You can put up PowerPoint slides, overhead trans, graphs or charts, pictures, which I was telling, which is very impacted while people are listening to your presentation. And then we have films or videos. I think that's all. So when I speak about video aids or visual aids of examples in your presentations, the first thing you have to remember is we can use any kind of information in the presentation to have an example of your presentation. For example, I am giving a presentation on global warming or women empowerment is good thing, right? So I am giving an example about women empowerment. I am giving a presentation on women empowerment. So what I do, I put a picture where a woman is sitting in a village and cutting vegetables, and opposite to that I will put up a woman with a very casual business dress, carrying a briefcase and tied hair, nice makeup, and then she is walking to the office. So I will compare this both and say this is what women empowerment is. So if women without empowerment, she is addicted to families, she is sitting and she is working and she is been all the way in the house, closed in four walls. As if you get a proper empowerment, you will be working, she will be confident, she will have that that way of showing persistence towards the work and all. So when I show this all, obviously people would understand, from the picture you will understand, the people will understand. So irrespective of what you are putting, you can put PowerPoint slides, we can put overhead trans, you can put graphs, you can charts, pictures. Usually we put a lot of pictures, for example, the first thing that we do is put up the pictures, and then we have film or video. So these are the most important things that you have to remember whenever I speak. You have flip charts, indirectly you can use flip charts also. And we have sketches, somebody who have done the sketches, you can also show that. So these are the most important things or the examples of the visual aids. So let us see the slide once again. So these are the examples that I just want to mention it to you: PowerPoint slides, overhead trans, graphs or charts, pictures, films or videos, flip charts and sketches. So these are the examples of visual aids. And then we have, what exactly visual aids should consist of? Let's see here. Supplement presentation. What is supplement presentation? What is outline of main points? What is serve audience's needs, not speakers? Simple and clear. So when I say supplement presentation, See, a presentation should not have, that's what I have said you already when I was telling you about the presentations or presentation skills or effective presentation. I just want you to remember that whenever I speak about the presentation skills and the effective giving way of giving the presentation, the most important thing that you have to remember is don't go deep into the subject and say everything about the subject what you are telling, because that is a very wrong thing, because you should give some hope to the audience that you can learn more about this particular topic that I am saying. You are just introducing the topic and you are just putting the loops and do's and don'ts of the topic. So at the same time, when you are giving the topic, you will be giving an outline brief about the entire subject that you are giving as a presentation. So what will make to the audience is the audience will obviously have that internal feel to learn more about that particular thing that you have been telling in the presentation. So always make it supplement, supplement presentation, have a limit of presentation what you are giving. And the second point that I have said is outline of main points. What is the outline of main points? Outline of main points is nothing but for every point that you put in the presentation, make an outline, put the outline of the subject what you want to tell. Don't brief the entire thing, that for example, if I have to say about women empowerment, when I speak about women empowerment, I should not start with the childhood of the woman. Obviously, if I go for the childhood of the woman, where she was born and from then she was being raised, all these are unnecessary. Women empowerment is basically low in our country, or is not that much in our country, because women are not basically concentrating on the education. So if they really concentrate on education, obviously they will get a zeal to work, they will get the energy to work, they will get some confidence to work, and when they get all this confidence, the people of their house or their homes will encourage them to go for jobs. And when they go for the jobs, they get salaries, and when they get salaries, they try to improve the empowerment, and that is what a women empowerment is. So that's how you just have to concentrate on the outline of each and every subject, alright. So remember that outline of main points is very much important. And then the third point that we have is serve audiences' needs, not speakers. For example, you are a speaker and the audience is a listener, right? So never make comfortable or never be in a comfortable position of yours. Make sure that the audience are comfortable, audience are getting good concepts, audience are getting good examples. Make sure everything is relevant or everything is understood by the audience, and that is what the meaning of the visual ads are. Visual ads, I mean, you put examples, you put pictures not to make yourself comfortable. It should make them comfortable in understanding. It makes them comfortable in listening very quick, or it makes them put into the head directly, because even if they don't remember the entire subject, they will remember that one proper example that you give through the visual aids. Alright. So now let us see the last point. Make it simple and clear. So when you try to make the presentation, or make sure when you are presenting the visual aid, for example, I have said you an example. I have given you an example that there is a woman sitting in the village cooking, and there is a woman showing another picture where she is well dressed, well makeup, tied up, with a briefcase, with an ample of encouragement that she have. So this picture is very easy to understand. If you take a highly used image, or if you take a highly ununderstandable image and you display for the women empowerment, if the audience didn't understood what you are showing, then it is not simple, isn't it? Don't make it too complicated, just put it as simple as it is and make it clear. So that is what I just really want to tell you today in the visual aids should. Okay. So now let me take you with the next slide. That is the purpose of using visual aids. Visual aids support your ideas and improve audience comprehension of your presentation. people, I just want you to write it down if possible, because this purpose of using visual aids will, make sure how it is used and how it will help you out. So always remember, the first point is very important. So note down if possible, okay, just put down into the notebooks. So the first point is, visual aids support your ideas and improve audience comprehension of your presentation. Visual aids add variety to your presentation by giving the audience a break from listening and letting them see something. I am sorry, I have committed a mistake here after letting. It is not the, it is them. Visual aids help illustrate complex ideas or concepts and are helpful in reinforcing your ideas. I am sorry. So yeah, so I will go with the first point, and its meaning: visual aids support your ideas and improve audience comprehension of your presentation. For example, if I have to say, when you are giving a presentation and you have something called as an example, you have shown a picture while you are giving your presentation. So when you have showed a picture, obviously what happens? The audience comprehensions level, the thinking level of the audience will improve, because yes, whatever you are trying to convey or communicate, the audience will immediately grab that because of that one particular visual aid. So that is what I just want to tell you in the first point. And let us see the second point here. Visual aids add variety to your presentation by giving the audience a break from listening and letting them see something. For example, you are continuously talking, you are just talking, and you are looking at every audience. That is a good part, but do you think the audience will be comfortable all the time by looking only at you? Absolutely wrong. You should be in a position where you give them some break, indirect break for their eyes and for their patience levels. Okay, all the time make sure you give some pictures as an example, or videos as an example, or PPTs as an example, or flip charts as an example, so that what happens, the audience will get a little break for their eyes and as well as for the concentration. For that, they relax and see the images. So once they look at the images, obviously their break and the mind will make them more attention towards you. So that is what I just want to tell you today in the second point. Let us see the third point here. Visual aids help illustrate complex ideas or concepts and are helpful in reinforcing your ideas. That is what I have said you again. So let us see here. If you can see, for example, I have been giving many examples by default when I am talking, but you know what is making it? By looking at the slides, by showing you slides, what is making? I am reinforcing your ideas. I mean, I am taking your ideas a little forward and explaining about what subject I am teaching you. So that is what the examples and the meaning of the purpose of using visual aids. So this is what you just have to remember all the time. So let us see the advantages of visual aids. The advantages of visual aids are: improve comprehension, add varieties, illustrate complex ideas. So these are the 3 points that I have mentioned in the visual aid. So whenever people speak about presentation, or if you say you know what, you always have to remember one thing, people. You will be going to interviews and seminars. Obviously, when you go for an interview, the person might ask you, what did you do in your college, or what is the most amazing thing that you have done in your college? You will say, sir, I have given a seminar about this particular situation at my college. So the HR is going to ask you, what seminar do you have given? You are going to say the name of the seminar, and then they are going to ask, what was the experience that you had from the seminar? At that particular point, you should say, sir, though I have used a lot of visual aids in my presentation, you can say, I have improved the comprehension of the people. I had different varieties of examples that I have given to the audience, and I had illustrate the complex ideas of the audience. So this is what an answer which makes the HR feel so good about what you're talking. All right, so always remember this. So now let me take you to the next slide. Be visible. What does this mean? This means when you are giving a presentation, make sure you are visible to everybody, because I'll tell you what, people, when you are giving a presentation, especially you are at one particular point and you are giving a seminar, you know what happens when you don't get visible for everybody. That means there would be a last bencher, there would be a side bencher, there would be a diagonal bencher, but if you are not at the straight point, or if you are not at the right place that everybody are looking at you, the people won't get the concentration in listening to you. So that is what you just have to remember every time. So let me show you a few points in the be visible. Title should be 38 to 44 point font size, especially when you are giving a presentation in a PPT or a Word. Make sure your font size is a little bigger, and that is between 38 to 44. Text should be 28 point from size. For example, if you can see here in this slide, we have something called as be visible. See, this font is little bigger than this text. So make sure this is 38 to 44, and make sure this text is from 28 point font size. This is what you just have to remember. And then we have use color wisely, contrasting colors. For example, people, if you can see here, we have these three colors: yellow, orange, violet, and this is in this color, that is violet, and this is in this color, that is violet, and this is in red, that is like in this we have this, and the even text size have reduced. That is what I meant. Make sure the colors are so good to see that it does not make an impact in seeing. Use some contrasting colors, and that is what you just have to remember whenever I speak about the be visible points in the situation. So contrasting colors are something which are very much important when I speak about the PPT. So before I say about what we have been learning about the presentation skills and its importance, the first thing that we have learned in the presentation skills is how to give a presentation, and the second thing that I was been telling to you is what you should carry or what you should prepare yourself while giving the presentation, and while giving the presentation what makes it more effective and how should you actually give the presentation is something that you have to remember every time when you are giving the presentation. Guys, I will give you a very good example. When I was in my 10th class, I really do not know how to give a presentation. You know what are the problems that I have faced when I have gone for the presentation in my 10th class? I have entered into my class and I was supposed to talk about the workshop of work experience class. I mean, we used to have work experience syllabus for us, where we will be doing some technical stuff like putting an alarm system for the door, or making a guitar through a keyboard, or a house board, or if you can see, shoe rack, isn't it? We put shoes. I mean, when we buy a new shoes, we'll have a cardboard. So through cardboard, how can we make a guitar? So all these we used to learn through our work experience classes. But I know how to do all these work experience examples, but I never knew how to communicate this to people on how exactly I have made that. Science fair, I think everybody know this science fair, isn't it? In our 10th class, some throwback memories that we have is we used to have science fair where we used to exhibit our things that we have done. But somehow I got a very good award that I was been looking at a reservoir. I made a PPT on reservoir, on work experience class, and then I got an award too. I got a prize, and when I have to go there and take prize, I have to say something, isn't it? Thank you for giving this award. I feel so pleasure. It is an immense experience for me, or something I have to say. I didn't say anything. I just have gone to the stage, took the prize, and then came running back to my place. And then my principal have called me and said, "This is not the way you take the prize." So then he said, you have to be very calm, you have to exhibit yourself, because you have done a good job, but when you don't have the presentation skills on to exhibit over there, obviously the people would not encourage you. So always remember, people, presentation skills are the most important things, especially when you are standing in front of somebody and when you are being a role model for everybody. Okay, so whenever you're going for an interview or whenever you're going for a seminar, make sure you are well prepared for the presentation and give an amazing presentation and keep my name going forward. All right, so thank you so much for listening to my class and being patient in my class. That feels amazing, taking a class for you people about the presentation skills. I had a lot of enjoyment listening to the class and saying to this class. So share this video if somebody needs the presentation skills and its importance. And I am Kranth, and I'll be teaching you more classes about communication skills. So I am from APSSDC. Thank you so much.